and gentlemen, welcome to this great debate. Thank you for this speech. Well, first of all, I got to start with, there's a lot of us here from Yugoslavia. There's a lot of people here from Hungary as well. We remember that socialism and communism are not identical things. We remember that tyranny and socialism are not the same things. We remember that, well, corruption doesn't mean that it exists only in socialism and doesn't exist in capitalism. The first thing that Philip said, that socialism is a dirty word, is actually kind of repeated in the legalist speech, because apparently it seems that because of the countries that choose to be communists or socialists, they were countries who developed, most of them third world countries. So a lot of those grievances that you can accuse of socialism, you're actually accusing you're accusing countries that just came out of wars, countries that were poor, countries that needed to develop, countries with no civil society whatsoever. And me and Philip, we're not talking about 1945 Romania. We're talking about 2013 Europe, and we think that it's unfair to say that socialism is Stalin and socialism is Mao and socialism is corruption. So that's the first thing that we have to say. Second attack that we had from the opposition side is, first, the individuals, it's taking your identity. We completely disagree with that. We believe that in certain countries that weren't so tyrannical, for example, ex-Yugoslavia, you were not taking your identity. Quite the opposite. You were given freedom, because freedom meant to have a job, freedom meant to have enough money that you don't have to think about paying for your schools, paying for your bills, paying for your cancer from your grandmother, for example. That meant that people in Yugoslavia, more than people now in the countries of ex-Yugoslavia, which is of course unfair because there was a war, had more chance to travel, more chance to educate, more chance to see the world, and had much more money during those times. So it cannot be really an idea that you lose identity when it's quite proven that those specific things can bring your identity more and can create even a better identity if you travel and meet the world. And all that you need money. Yeah.
If socialism is better for civil society, how come did no one question Tito or no one had anything against the Curtin Code of Rights?
Well, because he had a gun. He had a gun and Tito was a man. You know? Maybe we and Bill can make an argument that Tito was not a socialist at all. He was just a dictator using socialism. I don't think you can disprove that, because it was not socialistic when you think about it. And that's the second part. I have only 5 minutes, so I have to continue. So the second part is this democratization. Ladies, let's take the country that hates the socialism the most. United States of America. Their super PACs, the idea how they finance their political parties. It is quite obvious that the poor people and the rich people, was that clapping or the last minute? And it's quite wondrous how it's quite openly said that the more money you have, it's capitalism. You're investing in politics. That's why lobbyism exists, and it's legal. It's investing. What is lobbyism? What is to be a sponsor of a new prime minister, a sponsor of a new president? Why is that? Because you like the guy, he's charming. It's investing. That's capitalism. That's money investing into democracy because it has money. And socialism is the other way around. It says, sure, we'll take some of your economical freedom, but this will not happen. We will try to keep it more democratic. Why? Because specifically money, how it will be distributed among the people, will give people more money, and like an average voter more money. And just the difference between implementing and how much you can actually financially subsidize some political party or some process will be distributed more. They're making it more democratic. So this is not some strange thing. I believe there is, in more socialist countries, there are bigger, or social welfare countries, there's bigger democracy. Take Sweden. Take Norway. Take them. Isn't there more democracy there in the United States and all those crazy, I'm not saying the United States is crazy, but crazy capitalistic countries? It is. It's proven. So apparently, if we're having one step toward social welfare making us a more democratic country, what me and Philip are saying, let's make another step. And a second argument that I have to mention, if I have time, how much? 1 minute. Okay, excellent. That's the second argument. International. That's the basic idea, which is not a capitalistic idea. It's a socialist, one of the socialist ideas. It's international community incorporation. I'm glad that there's some people from Sweden here, and they have a great system for Swedish people. But I don't know how good a system is for the Chinese workers that they're using for their companies. Yes, and that's the difference. Because a socialistic Sweden would discuss that. Would discuss the idea that how can they make money over somebody else's misery. They don't discuss that. Maybe some individuals do, but not the country. Country is a capitalistic country with a social welfare inclination. What me and Philip are saying is a socialist country. A country that says that if our own economic system is based on rights and economical rights, that means that we have to look twice in this new modern 21st century globalized economy where somewhere else people are working their asses off for us. Thank you.
Overcoming my jet lag, I thank the gentleman for his remarks, and now I'm going to invite some person for the opposition.
No, it's not a time. Sorry. Right. Hello, everyone. Good evening. It's great to be here at Budapest Open again, to see it happening, growing, and seeing all of the nice and familiar faces around. I have no idea whether or not socialism is a dirt word or not. I know we had a dirt strategy from the first prop, right? Because the dirt strategy comes in, mixing the socialism and welfare, and mixing the socialism and capitalism, and saying, for instance, ooh, look, Norway and Sweden, they're so nice, but they're not nice, and then you get confused, right? Here it comes, right? Socialism. Show us where in socialism we had a competition of social economic systems. So show us where in socialism we had a competition of parties in real socialism. Right? When you do that, then tell us where in socialism we had civil movements who fought for rights, right? For certain groups in a society which were undermined or under whatever is the word for that, underappreciated, right? So nowhere, right? When we get that apart, I want to talk about a couple of things, right? I will tell you all about your socialism ideas, right? But just when we get clear with a couple of things that you brought, Philip, right? So in terms of competition of social economic models, right? Nowhere and in none of the models, except in capitalism, we saw the evolution of the model so fast, right? None. It has happened never in history, not yet though, right? Also, there is no incentive in socialism for you to fight against your own system. Because, as Borna told you, you have your job, you have your freedom to enjoy your life, and you're bought in. You have no incentives to fight against someone who is giving you all of that nice stuff that you would otherwise lose. And you would have to fight for your job, for your welfare, for everything, right? But why is that really problematic? You really want to hear this, right? Why is this really problematic? This is really problematic the moment when you're bought in. You have no incentives to develop, which creates the entitlement thing within the society. So the perception, Maria, in the society is very important, because when you perceive a woman who does nothing in socialism, but has fulfilled the generic role, right? Or any man that is fulfilling the generic role of doing nothing at his job but receiving his paycheck, he's appreciated as well as any other man in the society. Which kills the productivity, which kills the incentive for people in, especially welfare capitalism, to work more and show off their ideas and do something productive for society and move society forward. That's something that socialism does not have. Right. Philip disagrees.
I want everyone here to consider whether if all of your friends had the same amount of money and a decent standard of living, you would A, value all of them the same, and B, drop all of your ambitions immediately and just sit on the couch. Because that's the argument here.
No, it's not the argument, it's a historic fact. And there's a difference, right? And second thing, Philip, there's nothing in capitalism which says you're going to appreciate people who have less money less, right? You will appreciate people by their individuality. And why is that different than in socialism? Because in capitalism, you have the incentive to be in something called a civil society group, right? In civil society movement, which says that you're able to express your individuality, which therefore means that you're incentivized to have strong identity with that social economic system, which is not the case for socialism, Philip, and you may sit down. Now, secondly, when Borna comes here and he says, look, all those lobbying and things when you're buying a new prime minister, right? That exists in every single social economic system in the world. Somewhere it's called corruption. The West figure out that they cannot evade it. They call it lobbying. It's better when it's regulated. We say fine, right? Also, what they say is that, look at Sweden and Norway. Right, welfare states. But capitalism capitalistic states. That's what we were proposing. That's not socialism, and it's quite different, right? And thirdly, what we want to focus here on is something that no one mentioned from this side, right? In socialism, when we had it previously, ex-Yugoslavia or some other countries, right? The socialism was stagnation of the country. And when you look at the countries that were out before the wars that Borna mentioned, before the crisis, before the anything else, almost all of those countries were bankrupt. Because the production of goods were not evaluated by the market, was not modeled by the market and its needs. It was modeled by the number of output that is needed to cater for all of the things that you were given in socialism by the state, which you have not earned. And we say that it's better to live in a social economic system, right, where you have not been entitled to all of those goods, but have incentive to create those and to earn those, and therefore create this perception of yourself in a society as a productive citizen and someone who is worth to that society. Because all of that, we're very proud to oppose the motion.